My name is Anneli. I come from Tallinn. I'm a specialist in milieu areas. That means these are kind of city districts that are under protection only locally, not monuments. Only municipal kind of restrictions and laws are protecting these areas. I'm gonna spread out some booklets that were made, so it wouldn't be maybe so boring. I hope it's not anyway, but it's more interesting. And this is my personal, please don't ruin it. Estonian, but it gives the kind of feeling about buildings that we are protecting in Tallinn, and what is our kind of what I've done already for over 10 years. So just to give an overall feeling, what are we protecting? I'm gonna show you some slides about our milieu areas in Tallinn. Here you can see map of Tallinn, and all these colorful little islands are protected under municipal law. Like usually they are more protected by these kind of sorry, my English is not so good. City district plans, and some of them are also general plans or clean plans or something like that. I'm gonna show them more precisely. Almost, I think, 10% of Tallinn's overall territory is protected with locally, and here's some examples. Here you can see also the date lines from which area usually these buildings are from. More closely, this is the outskirt of the old town. Old town is under UNESCO protection, but everything outside is locally protected. You can see all these colorful dots that really specifically show how important this house is. Very valuable, milieu valuable, or not valuable at all. So all these restrictions are based on how valuable the buildings are. These are typical end of 19th century, beginning of the 20th century dwellings. They are quite well. They are usually rental buildings with very small space, only 2 rooms, usually up to 16 to 20 square meters. Not very comfortable. They are usually developed into more. They usually develop under the roof or into the cellar, so they could maximize the amount of square meters that they can use. So to make an effort to make it more comfortable for them to live, and if they get bigger families, so they need more space and so on, that it's very common to go up or go down. Here it's also, next one, it's a very typical suburb street in our milieu areas. All these buildings already from the 20s and 30s, 1920s, 1930s, and here you can see they're already a bit higher, a bit more colorful, more kind of modern, as modern could get in the 20s. Brick staircases because of the fire department laws. It was kind of the fire department laws are still kind of molding our architecture now, but they used to do it also 70 years ago. I'm going to talk more about this green city parts, which are more valued as a very nice environment. People like to stay there, they like to see very pretty houses outside from the window, but very often they don't want to, they don't want to contribute themselves. So it's, they're more individualists, the owners in the greenery areas, and in my personal experience, harder to handle because of the private owning is quite sacred in Estonia. You can't say that, oh, don't put these windows, please put a tin roof, not a kind of tarred roof or these other more less expensive materials that are very common. And so it's a bigger struggle because it's more outside of the town. You can't control it because the territory is very, very big. And so it's a headache. Here are good examples from these areas. You can see on the top left, it's typical post-war individual house, and in the bottom right, kind of modernized, functionalized apartment buildings, more for the richer Estonian owner. So, but all these, even buildings built after the Second World War are protected locally, and so we try to maintain their facades and how they look and all the details that were kind of making it as pretty as they are in this picture. It's a very good example, but they are not all like that. And it's quite uncommon yet for Estonians to think it to be a heritage if it's built after the Second World War, because usually everything that is Estonian, first Estonian era or before the, or even Tsar's time, it is more valued, but not Stalin time, that I'm going to explain next. Are very small quarters of very regular Stalinist era buildings all around Tallinn, and here you can see a layout. But usually nothing was done so nicely. We have mostly only few blocks that are preserved quite well. With challenges protecting these, we have, because they were built usually time when everything belonged to everyone. There were not plots, there were not fences, and now everyone wants fences and plots, and you can't really protect the open environment between the courtyards and so on. It's quite a challenge again. And also it's a big challenge to, I would say, protect all the original material, because there is big pressure to insulate houses and to make more energy sufficient, and so it's a challenge again. Here is an overall kind of a conclusion how we protect those buildings. We have a comprehensive plan from 2001, so it's too old already, but it's the best we have. Most of our milieu areas were kind of listed with that, but without any specific rules or guidelines how to protect them. Comprehensive plans for city districts are in process. Most of them are also finished, and these give quite specific guidelines how to protect buildings.
Gairės, kaip reikia apsaugoti pastatą.
For guidelines for the owners and how we protect them from the owners usually. And we also have the opportunity to protect individual important houses, even if they are not in overall milieu areas, if they are like very important. So we, with detailed plans or with comprehensive plans for the city districts, we can mark out the very important buildings and say that they are remarkable, you have to preserve them. All the rules that goes for milieu areas are kind of guidelines also for them. The thing that I'm going to talk more about is the campaign that started over 15 years ago already, maybe even longer time ago. I wasn't still working there, but soon I came also to be part of this project. The main idea was to popularize living in older buildings and give knowledge, give subsidies, so that people would be more encouraged to maintain their old buildings, also to give courage to not so easily replace old material, but also renovate them and give guidelines how to do it. We started the project with the idea to subsidize renovation of frontal doors, because usually frontal doors for this kind of very simple dwellings are the most decorative ones, and so if already the door that you go through every day is so pretty, it maybe would click somewhere in the brain of the owners that maybe the rest of the house should be as nice. So in the beginning the subsidy was 100%. We gave we didn't give the support straight to the owner, but we had kind of contracts with the renovators, kind of who fixed for the master of the renovations, and we picked just the nicest or in the worst condition doors, and yeah, the subsidy was 100%. It was kind of the beginning how to get people encouraged, to see that there are also other opportunities than just to replace it with a metal door, that all these bad-looking doors can also start blooming in front of the houses. Here's some more nice examples. I think approximately 15 doors were renovated each year, and the pilot project lasted for 4 years, and during then 65 doors were renovated altogether. The expenses for 4 years was 88,000 euros, so that means around 22 euros per year, but it was a long time ago. So I think now it would need more money. So because then approximately one door cost 1,400 euros, something like that. Now the amount is around double or even triple. And then we moved forward. We said that okay, doors are done. Okay, they were not all done, but the idea was that to also encourage renovating windows. And here you can see some good examples. Then it wasn't as there are so many windows. We couldn't say that 100% you're going to get the money for fixing them. Then we started. It was easier to give the money per square meter. So the money then for square meter was 500 kronas. If you calculate it into euros, it's nothing. It's 32 euros. So it's but the year was 2005. So inflation has done its work. But average support was given like 450 euros. So and then we started also visit more projects with the renovator that we had this kind of contract with the renovator who would come with specialists from the office to see how bad the windows are they really original windows, and we also gave some tip and advice. And then it wasn't kind of compulsory to make it nice by the firm or some kind of workshop that the people could renovate it them own by themselves if they had knowledge. Because after we usually gave the support after the work was done. So if it was done badly, said no, please fix it again, and then we will give you the support. But the support was given that time. We still wanted to be all over the city. Although we had many areas already like on the map, we also gave the support to every building that wanted to have support that was built before 1940. So the only restriction was that the house had to be built before 1940. So it was quite wide. So in continuous, we had to kind of minimize the amount of houses that we could protect because there were so many houses and we didn't have so much money. But yeah, now you can see how the amount of details is like growing. Now we gave already for the fences or also for the boarding to renovate that. So it was kind of evolving all the time from doors to windows and to everything else that was outside, only outside, no interior details. Here's our annual amount of money given. Nothing. In the size of what I have heard today, millions. We have maybe 2009 was nice, but usually the amount is declining all the time, not decreasing. But also the material of original details is also declining. So the interest of getting the support to renovate original details, there are less and less original details to renovate. So that might also be it. It's already harder for every year to get more application in. We have enough, even the money can decrease, but increase. But there aren't enough applicants. So that might be an issue. Before all these decisions were made quite easily. We had our office members gather around the table, said, "Oh, this is pretty. This is not pretty. This is pretty. This is not pretty." It was not very transparent, so we had pressure also because it's a taxpayer's money to make it more transparent. So we had this kind of point system. I'm not going to read them out. You can read themselves, but the main idea was to evaluate every object from how important is the building, how important is the detail in, when preserving it. Is it going to help to preserve the building also? Is it open to see for everyone, or is it hidden away in courtyards? Or is it going to be, are we going to replace a plastic window for a wooden window? Or is it going to be very detailed, that it's very bad shaped? All these points would rank all these applications, and from that we made these decisions. There's some more point system. Very important is how the house has been, how the owner has contributed to the house already. Is it in poor condition overall, or everything is neat and nice and every original detail is on its place? And also we give extra points if we have given the support before already, so that it would be continuous, that people would be encouraged to ask more support, because our support system is quite, we don't have so much money, so we can usually give support only for like one type of details. If 1 year for the roof, next year for the boarding, third year for the doors, and so on. And usually we try to negotiate that it's no point to ask for the windows if your roof is leaking, or this kind of, we try to contribute with our knowledge also before they make the application. This is history, in a way that we started to make facade color charts in 2001. This is a very simple way to encourage people to start renovating their buildings. This is only one part of it. Here you can see how it looked like, how it looks now, and how everything was kind of tagged and pointed out, and so what detail, what color it can be. But we also, this is a document that we gave out only when the owner knew that he's not going to do any work that needed permission from the local building office. So only these jobs can be done, like painting or replacing or renovating, and no insulating, no making an apartment under the roof or something like that. So it was kind of a guideline for people how to fix up their house. It gave very concrete suggestions from the foundation to the chimneys to the roof. So every detail was covered. A specialist walked around the house many times, consulted with the owners about the colors, because also some of them scraped and made some historical foundings, but usually in the end the owners wanted to have a say in how the house should look like. Here is some statistics, how many color charts we made, and since 2012 we don't make them anymore because the pressure from pressure from of course from the heating bills and everything like that encourage people more to make building projects, so that because if you want to insulate your house, you just can't go through with the color chart, because then you would need to know what the construction is going to be, what are these materials good for the building itself, and so everything has to be checked out, and so building permission would give out, and so that's why it was less and less and less, or also happened situations like that we made the color chart, and then the next year they said, oh no, thanks for all your information, now we are making a project then. Because it was easier for them to have something already done before, and so the color chart was kind of research for them, what's wrong with their house and what they should deal it, how they should deal it. There is one color chart here also. If after the lecture you would like to see, I made it, so I'm proud of it. But I don't have time to do it anymore. So now we only, if people really want to only renovate their buildings, not to make a project, then we just try to consult them on the spot or in the office or something like that. There are some bad examples also. Maybe they don't look so bad, but they look bad for me. I'm some kind of I would call it professional cretinism. And sometimes these color charts were so old and not done beyond the time when building restrictions were tighter. So we have had some misbehaved or kind of misbehaved color charts makers also, or well, everything's not perfect. But we have also good examples, and usually once a year, every year, but usually we like to promote them in a way. We want to set a good example, so each year the homeowners or the architects who have made the charts or the projects or the developers also have done sometimes a very great job. So we want to acknowledge that and reward them and give them some attention from the press. So we have a big event, snacks and wine, and the mayor will come in and give the things, and so it's very nice, and so that's how we try to encourage them, the owners, that they're not crazy. You are doing a good job. It's the right thing that you do. It's not wrong. It's you're adding value to the Tallinn cityscape and everything like that. Here's some more good examples that we like to encourage. And some more. These are all from different parts of Tallinn, so we try to have a big perspective of what goes on, but now we are more stuck in the office. We can't really, we don't know what goes on. But here's some good examples that we like to show every time. This is. I also wanted to talk a bit about our cooperation with universities. Here is one good example with technical college or technical high school that they just pick up original details, they measure them up for their schoolwork, and they give us the copy, and so we can use them and we can give to the other house owners that have a metal door already, metal door. So this is quite useful also as a historical perspective to have detailed drawings of objects that might not stay there for long. And we also have tried to make some kind of system that from what era from what the architect or and from where these doors are from, so that if people would like to, for example, would like to find the perfect solution for their house, they would just go to the gallery and find similar that they used to have, and then they can get the drawings from our archives. And with the Estonian Academy of Arts, we have also made some measures of original details that have preserved, so that we use mostly for ourselves, but we have also given them out for architects to work with. So these are kind of, here you can see, down below you can see buildings, the date of built, and architects, and so we can also find the closest, most perfect solution for boardings or other details for them to use. Here are these nice books that I gave everywhere. These are all the typical buildings that we are protecting. We have made kind of leaflets, booklets, so that people would can study the history of developing of them, and also how to maintain them very kind of preserve them so that they will waste so much money on kind of ruining them. And here are some more booklets that we have supported or initiated. On the right one is our Bible. We are very proud of it. It's sold out, sorry. But yeah, on the on the left side, you can see these are kind of guidelines how to on different districts where you can see they're mapped out, so you can see what goes on this trail that you are going to follow. Are there any monuments or nice valued or nice houses? It gives kind of also, well, it is interesting for tourists, and it's also interesting for locals to see, to recognize buildings that are close to their home. These are our excursions. I will not stop on them long, but we call them eye-opening excursions, where we point out details that are correctly done, details that are not correctly done, and so people, and usually people from the same neighborhood are going to join the excursion, so then they know what to follow. When someone does wrong, then they come to us and say, my neighbor did that, and they are kind of developing the feeling of community. But yeah, not only like telling on your neighbor, but still kind of in a way trying to maintain the nice way of your neighborhood. There's some lectures also that we used to do, and some workshops. Tarmo will speak more about them. About that I'm not going to talk. It's our register of buildings, but I don't have time for that. But we have some bad examples also, how very strong reconstruction projects have been made, and so but the owners don't really feel the necessity to restore them. So we have some trouble also. Yes, sorry. Yeah, I'm gonna need it. And here's one more example, and that's it. Thank you for your attention.